Forget everything you think you know about fruit. Seriously, forget it. That shiny red apple you buy at the supermarket is a lie. It's a ball of sugar and water designed by engineers, not nature, to look pretty on a shelf for weeks. If you could travel back in time 500 years to a dirty, noisy medieval market, you wouldn't recognize almost anything. There were no bananas, no pineapples, and the fruits that were there, well, let's just say you had to be brave to eat them. Today, we are going to unearth 15 botanical treasures that our ancestors loved, but that modern agriculture murdered because they were too difficult. Get ready, because we're going to talk about fruits that smell like wine, fruits that cured the Black Plague, and yes, a fruit with a name so vulgar it will make you blush. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or rather, the butt in the room. Imagine a fruit so ugly, so strange, that in the Middle Ages, people, from peasants to royalty, called it the Open-Arse. I'm not making this up, it's pure history. Its real name is the European Medlar, but its nickname says it all. It looks like a small, rotten apple with a hole in the bottom. And here's the mind trick. If you pick this off the tree in autumn and try to bite into it, you'll break a tooth. It's hard as a rock and tastes like bitter medicine. The medieval solution? Extreme patience. You had to let the fruit blet. Bletting is a fancy word for controlled rotting. They kept them in straw for weeks until they turned brown and mushy. Only then, when they looked like garbage, did you open them up and find a sweet cream that tasted like spiced wine and cinnamon. It was the luxury dessert of winter. Today, no one has the patience to wait a month for a fruit. We have traded complex flavor for immediate convenience. But if you think waiting for something to rot is crazy, wait until you hear this. Have you ever walked into an English pub called The Checkers and seen that checkerboard on the sign? You probably thought it was about chess. Wrong. That name comes from a forgotten fruit, the wild serviceberry, or as they used to call it, checkers. Before hops conquered the world, this berry was the soul of beer. It's small, brown, and rough like sandpaper. But medieval brewers discovered that if they let it ferment, it gave the beer a unique, earthy, potent flavor, capable of leaving you staggering after a hard day in the fields. Those checker signs weren't decoration. They were a warning. We serve real booze here. Today, those trees have been cut down, and that recipe is lost. We have traded a drink with character for tasteless industrial beer. Speaking of alcohol and survival, let's talk about sloes. If you're walking through the countryside and see some beautiful blueberries, beware. If you bite into one raw, the astringency is so brutal you'll feel your mouth dry out instantly. It's nature's trap. But our ancestors didn't give up. They discovered that if they pricked these berries with thorns and drowned them in gin or brandy for months, a miracle happened. The liquor extracted the sugar and flavor, creating sloe gin or pacharan. It wasn't just for getting drunk, it was medicine. A shot of this in winter warmed the blood and, they said, killed any parasites you had in your stomach. Plus, blackthorn bushes are so thorny, they were used as natural barbed wire to protect farms. Security and alcohol in a single plant. That is efficiency. But not everything was a party. Medieval life was a constant struggle against death. And this is where the Cornelian cherry comes in. It's not a real cherry, it's a dogwood. But when the Black Death ravaged Europe, monks guarded these red berries like gold. They are so acidic they make you cry, but that acidity was their power. They turned them into antiseptic syrups to treat fever and dysentery. In a world without antibiotics, a Cornelian cherry tree in the monastery courtyard was the difference between living or dying. And if that wasn't enough, its wood is so hard it was used to make spears and gears. A warrior tree for dark times. Now, let me tell you a tragedy. The story of the barberry. This thorny bush with red berries was the poor man's lemon. Before citrus fruits arrived from the south, If you wanted your food to taste like something other than smoke and salt, you used barberry. It was essential. But in the 19th century, scientists discovered something terrible. The barberry was the host of a fungus that killed wheat crops. Suddenly, the cook's best friend became the farmer's enemy. Extermination campaigns were launched. They burned millions of bushes. It was a botanical war, and the barberry lost. Today, it is almost impossible to find it wild. We sacrificed an incredible flavor to save our bread. It's understandable, but sad. And while Europe fought its plagues, in the New World and on the Silk Road, other fruits told different stories. Look at the Chinese date, or jujube. This tree is a born survivor. It can grow in the most hellish drought. Its fruit is magical. It dries on the tree itself and becomes a natural energy bar that lasts for years without rotting. Silk Road merchants carried pockets full of this. It was the original fast food. Or the Saskatoon berry in North America. European settlers, used to their delicate fruits, were shocked to see this bush withstand temperatures of 40 degrees below zero and give a fruit sweeter and more nutritious than anything they had at home. They learned to mix it with fat and meat to make pemmican, a survival food that could last for decades. I could go on telling you about the quince, the true father of marmalade. The word marmalade comes from the Portuguese marmelada, which is quince paste, not orange. A fruit that smells like the perfume of gods, but when raw is so hard it can break a tooth. Or the crab apple, whose sour juice, verjuice, was safer to drink than the water from medieval wells. The lesson here isn't just about botany, it's about us. We have traded complexity, character, and resilience for easy sugar and perfect appearance. We have forgotten that real food sometimes requires effort. It requires waiting for it to bled. It requires cooking it slowly. It requires pricking your fingers with thorns. So I'm throwing you a challenge. Don't plant another tomato plant this year. Find a specialized nursery. Plant a medlar. Plant a service tree. Put something in your soil that has history, that has a story to tell. Something your grandchildren can look at and say, wow, Grandpa was a little crazy, but this fruit tastes like heaven. Tell me in the comments, would you dare to try the Open-Arse, or do you prefer to stick with your plastic apple? I'm Stellar Eureka, and if this trip to the past has made you hungry for knowledge, subscribe. See you at the next harvest.